Hello and welcome to Real Love Estate, where we are keeping it real with our first official guest who is joining us. But we are so excited to be here. I'm Erica.
And I am Christian Pleasant.
Yes, and so this is an all new series where we are interviewing powerful couples. And we are so blessed because we get to start with a couple that's actually impacted us. So I was going to say powerful couples that have impacted our lives. Some people we haven't had the privilege like we have had with this dynamic powerhouse that's going to be on today. Let me tell you, we have John and Paulishia Augillard, and they are just everything. You know how some people you get to meet them behind the scenes and it's nothing like what you expect. They are everything and more in our opinions because yes, we've seen them as their authentic selves. I'm talking about professionals, entrepreneurship, published authors, dynamic parents, community leaders, fitness professionals. Where do we begin and where do we end? Just so many blessings they poured into our life. And we know they have so much more for you. And even that intro, I believe, hasn't done them justice with the sheer amount of things that they both bring to the table. But welcome our first official Real Love Estate guest, Paulishia and John. How are y'all doing today?
Hey,
Hey,
how
we're
y'all
doing
doing?
wonderful.
We are doing wonderful. Yes.
Look,
So
we helped birth you.
and you, and you did. We're gonna get into that part too because y'all wouldn't believe Christian and I were recapping this recently, and it was like just how much God ordered our steps to you both.
Yeah.
So I want to just get started first. So can you tell us just a little bit about you both for those that may not have connected with you before?
Okay. Well, I'm Paulishia, and professionally, I've done a whole lot. Licensed professional counselor supervisor. I'm a marriage and family therapist. Um, what else? I don't. I'm best-selling author, public speaker. I mean, this like service is really a big important for me and for our children. And just like what Erica said in terms of businesses, so all of the things, we're excited, specifically excited just for what God has done in our lives. We just recently celebrated 26 years of marriage last week, and so we have just been reflecting really on just God's goodness and thinking back to where we started from and where we are now. 3 thriving adult children, so yay for that. And yeah, so that's all I have. What about you, sir?
Uh, Most affectionately known as Mr. Paulishia Augillard. I'm very proud of my wife. I'm currently an MSW student, also an author, speaker, and life coach. We do a lot of things together in the community, and we're really excited to be here. We're excited to see you all again. Feels like we just left New Bern. The time just flies by, as you already know. So we're excited about this opportunity for you all.
Yeah.
Y'all have us over here cheesing, laughing, everything. Yes.
There's definitely a lot though. So you all, accomplished a lot of books, a lot of different endeavors, huge milestones. And like you said, taking it back to New Bern, I believe we were at Moore's trying to get y'all some barbecue, some Eastern North Carolina
Yes.
barbecue.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I'm just left from that table right now that we all just, was just there. But for the viewers watching and just to see, how did you all meet? If you all don't mind sharing that story.
Let me tell this story.
Oh gosh.
I love to tell a story. As a matter of fact, when I was a teacher, I told a version of it in a play, and I have my students to act it out. That's just me. That's just me.
Oh, Lord.
Anyway, when we first met, she was in the hallway, sitting at a booth, and I approached her trying to catch her eye, and then she looked the other way. She swears she didn't see me.
I didn't.
But anyway, so we were friends later on, and then the following year, we went with some friends to Fiesta, Texas.
Yeah.
And while we were there, I was really focused on trying to get into the water and swim, and she just kept just sweating me hard, just doing this, flirting real hard. It was reverse, y'all. It was reverse.
I was like, no, I did not sweat him hard like that.
So we were flirting, and then that evening I called her to my room, and I asked her out, and then from there, and so we started. Look, I even have the date for you, October 12th, 1994. I remember because my birthday is October 14th, so it was really easy to remember. But October 12th, 1994 is when we started officially dating.
Wow. I love those stories because you always get his version and her version. So I love that. And I want to kind of like bring it together too for those that are watching and how we've talked about how we met you all, because I believe y'all have a matchmaker anointing on you.
Come on, matchmaker.
Yes, because when we came together, it was just through a conversation. I still remember how much you both poured out, just selflessly poured out into us, just so much wisdom and things. And we didn't know at the time that we were going to be together. So I would love to hear if you all remember from your perspective too, just your initial interactions with Christian and I, and how y'all were instrumental, definitely, and how we came together. So could you kind of speak on that?
Yeah. So what I recall is we were traveling down for one of your conferences, Erica, and really excited about being a part of that. And for all of y'all who don't know, Erica is phenomenal. She's helped me so much in my business in terms of branding my story and really doing some different things in marketing and just really putting myself out there even more. But not just that, more of just a spiritual connection, which is really important for me. And so we were actually traveling down there in support of Erica's conference. And so at that time, Christian was along just helping sort of set things up. And I remember, I think you remember, she had introduced Christian as, like, this is the person that's helping me to set up with the license, stuff like that. And John, when we went to get something, he was like, no, something ain't.
Some electricity in the air.
It's something that's happening right there. And I was like, are you sure? And he said, yeah, you just watch their cues, watch what's happening. And so once we went to eat and, we were having a great time, like afterwards, Erica, when we got back into the car, I said, yeah, I see it. I felt it. Yeah. So we felt like the chemistry that you all had was sort of similar to what we had. It's like y'all were trying to play it cool. You saying you didn't know that y'all were going to be together, but it was still like that. I don't know. It's the type of interest. It was just electricity in the air. And so we could pick up on that, I guess, because of our own, chemistry. Yeah. So that was our impression. Yeah.
Yes, and I remember one thing that stood out to me. Christian and I shared a story because we weren't together yet of how we were dressed alike on accident, and I still remember that you and John, I mean, y'all were dressed like y'all had the accent colors, coming together, and it was so beautiful to me just seeing how seamlessly y'all pour out. And I didn't even realize, I realized it, but even more so later on, how much y'all have accomplished. You both have written books. You both have done so much. Yeah. So can you just kind of talk to us? I know y'all have co-authored a book too before, and just powerhouses. Can we start even with the vision for the book and some of the things that you both do, how it comes together, like both separately are coaching, speaking, showing up, and then y'all are able to bring it together. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Let you start that.
Yeah, sure. So the book that we co-authored is called We Love, We Believe. And in the course of us being married, when you're married early on, 2-3 years, people, oh, that's so great. But as we start getting into the teens part of it, people started to asking us about what are you guys doing to make your marriage successful? Yeah. And we sat down and we discussed, what is our theme here and what is our secret, if you will. Mm-hmm. And the secret was, we love each other and we believe in God. And even though we believe in God first, and then we love each other, but they're all interconnected. So we decided to write from our perspectives on what our marriage is looking like, And that's how that particular book was birthed.
Yeah, I would agree too. And I think that book came after our individual projects. One of the things that I wanted to do once I started my own private practice was put my story out there a little bit more in terms of women dealing with mental health challenges. So, anxiety, depression, and things that we, specifically deal with on a daily basis that we're so great at masking. And so after that, I think it was just a continuous thing, because if you think about it, Erica, a lot of things how you deal with things like individually on a personal level, it spills over into the professional, vice versa. Professional, it spills over into the personal. And what I mean by that is how you conduct yourself, those styles, how you deal with stress, all of that is interconnected in terms of how you relate to your family, your children. And so it was really important, after I talked about dealing with postpartum depression and, the support that I had in John and my family, for us to bring that together in terms of things that we hadn't shared with anybody else. And so that was really important, because again, like you said, a lot of times people will look and presume, that things are so wonderful and great, and they really don't know, to the level, the sacrifices that you make in terms of your family and the challenges that they have. So it was really important to come together and write about that as well.
Yeah, we wanted to be really authentic about who we are, because I think this movie Parenthood, and not just parenting, but also being married, is lots of ups and downs. It's a roller coaster, and the track that sustains us is God's word and the love that we have for each other.
Yeah. Well, yes. John, I was gonna say, John, I remember specifically sending text to you, man, with this next question, and I'll give you the opportunity to answer for everyone else, because I was trying to get the perspective for myself, but how do you know what was that turning point, when it's just from, kind of, as I say, back in that courting or whatever, getting to know that person, to knowing this is my person? What was that kind of turning point for you?
Well, I would say, there's a movie called Series of Misfortunate Events. I would call it a series of fortunate events, because it wasn't just one thing. I guess looking back on it now at year 26 and us reflecting on it, the thing was the love that we have for each other. Even in our dating part, we put God first in everything, and that was like the minimum standard that I had for somebody that I wanted to make my wife. And so inside of that, we stood by each other, and even when we didn't stand by each other, we always came back to each other. And I can say that a part of it did feel right. So it didn't just feel right, like in my heart, in my mind, it made sense. And spiritually, she was what I prayed for. So that's three things right there that came together. And it was like, okay, God, this is it. Not looking anywhere else.
Wow.
That's good. Well,
yes.
Let me just continue to build with this one. So, no, that's just good. So, I just had a thought, but I'm not.
I was too excited when I heard that answer. I think because it's like the little things, how you said, like she was what God had for you. And so I always wonder from the man's perspective and then the woman's perspective, where you find that place of peace, like, okay, this is, what God is showing me. So I was just wondering, Paulishia, for you, how did you know that John was the person for you and who God was calling you to?
Yeah, I want to say, I feel like I might have been a little bit more intuitive in terms of what I wanted in a husband, because that's how I was raised, right? That's all I've seen that's been modeled before me. So I knew from the moment that we actually went on our first date, that he was going to be my husband. And I told him that before. What sort of sealed it for me is just how he treated me. So, opening the door for me, giving me roses. So really treating me as a queen. And so that was really impressive to me. One, because of previous relationships that I had not seen that. And then also it was modeled for me with my own father. So that was like something when he opened the door, like, oh, okay, well, I'm deserving of this. And yeah, I definitely am looking for somebody that's not just the physical attraction, but it's more to that. And so that was what sealed the deal for me.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
And you both kind of talked about it, but as far as, how with your upbringing and, examples that you've seen, and maybe, I know amongst women, y'all may have more of a checklist and standards. I tease Erica all the time because she wrote down she wanted someone 6'3" or taller. I was just 3 inches short, in shoes, maybe 6'2". So I tease her about that from times. But the point is, some things that we're willing to let go or things like that. So, was there certain things or maybe just stereotypes or things that you had maybe that weren't realistic, just expectations when it comes to really, going through that process of finding your person and, taking it to that next level?
Yeah. So for me, like you talk about our upbringing, and, my wife, she grew up, with her parents. I didn't grow up with my parents. My dad lived separately and my mom was working all the time. So most of my examples, I just looked for glimpses of what it is that I wanted in different relatives or neighbors, sometimes friends, parents, and especially TV shows. So as far as the compromise, and we talked about this. So the biggest influence on me was, let me say this specifically, Heathcliff Huxtable. Heathcliff Huxtable, not the person who played him, Heathcliff Huxtable and Claire. Yeah. And so that's what I was looking for and how I've tried to carry myself. My wife will tell you that she did not model herself after Claire, but I love her for who she is, because she's great in her own lane. She got her own things going on. So a part of that was not holding on to this specific stereotype and being open. And because nobody's gonna be perfect anyway. I'm not perfect. She's not perfect. Yeah. But she's enough. With her and God in the equation, equals 100 for me. So that's how that works for me.
Yeah. Wow, that was nice.
That was good. And it makes me think of, were there any things that you had to, like, in addition to that, like that you may have had to unlearn, like thoughts or beliefs you had around marriage and through time, especially by year 26? That's incredible. By year 26, were there things that you had to unlearn that maybe you were kind of stuck in a thought pattern for?
I think for me, what I had to unlearn was leading all of the time, because I come from a very strong mother that definitely does lead, and that's how she grew up. My grandmother, that's what she did, and so what I had to learn in terms of being that strong figure, that you don't always have to be that strong figure, if you will. And so what I mean by that is, because so with my mother, there definitely was a father in the house. And so, dealing with, she comes from a children of 5, so there are 5 or 6, I can't remember how many aunts and uncles, but basically my grandmother and how she parented was really, strict, and that's how my mother parented. So things that I had to unlearn when we eventually got married and had our own children was, how did we want our family to be? And a lot of that was in communication style. Again, things not always being my way in terms of that. So again, learning how to have a quiet strength, which it's taken a lot of work. Like I say, in 26 years, I'm still learning, but because John is he's my balance, right? He's my peace. And so we balance each other really well. Like I am the strict person, right? But even with that, I've had to learn how to communicate to him differently, and even with my children. And that's taken a lot of personal work for me as well. And I see the difference in terms of the response as long as we've been married. I don't think that had I not unlearned some of those thoughts, like, oh, well, it's my way or the highway, that we would have been together this long. So, yeah, I would say just unlearning that, trying to lead and be tough all the time. When you have someone that honors you and that treats you as God treats us, right, then everything flows. And so sometimes I think that women, because of what they've seen, they sort of sabotage that part, and that's the part that they fight within themselves, that inner conflict. So for me, I'm not saying that it's perfect, as John said, but definitely I can see amazing transformation and progress in my own self.
I see it too.
That's powerful.
Yeah, that's
Christian
good.
has a question.
Well, I'm very similar to you all as far as, John, single mother, parent, as far as my upbringing. And then, my father ended up passing at an early age as well. So I didn't get the relationship I wanted to have. But then you have, like you said, your wife or our wives, coming from a 2-parent household, especially the role of that father, man, it's just you can tell a difference. And we actually had a good family discussion over the weekend, with Father's Day based on our church service. Just the role and the impact of having a father present. Nothing wrong with mom, mom doing their best and everything, but there's something that dad offers. And we can see, even if that whether we realize it now or that we're older, as we're in that position as fathers and things like that, John now. But I guess if you had a message, whether it's directed to, you all at maybe year 3, 4, maybe, before you made it to that first decade of marriage, compared to where you are now, what would, I guess, a message or something like that would be, directed to those early couples?
Yeah. So I would say for those who are like us, coming up without a present father, and it's easier said than done, but it comes from wanting to do good, wanting to do right, wanting to be in the right space. Because even inside my own family, there was a lot of infidelity. So you have a path before you. You can follow what you've seen, or you can decide to do better. So I always attached to the relatives who weren't doing any of those shenanigans. Because all I saw from that was pain and heartache. And I didn't want any pain, any heartache. I didn't want to bring that forward into my relationship, into my children. And so, within my grandmother and great grandmother, just, praying for me and just giving me that resolve to want to do better and to do right. And so I would say, find your purpose, but choose the purpose that is going to lead you down the right path. Don't base it just on how you're feeling, because your feelings can be fleeting. So you need to combine all of those things. Like I was saying earlier about mind, body, and spirit. You want all of those things to be in alignment. And then when you have all those things in alignment, then it'll point you in the direction that you're going. But just make sure all those things are in alignment.
My turn.
Oh, yeah.
No, I think he summed it up perfectly. I think, if looking at it through our eyes now, back, in our 3rd year of marriage, like, wow, we're right where we're supposed to be. Like it was a lot of adjustment, a lot of transition. And I think oftentimes when you're in it, you think that you should be so much further ahead, maybe in career, finances, especially if you're having children early, as we did, it's no plan. Like, I'm gonna have it then and there. Like, you could try, but it just is what it is. So I think just looking back, if you're a couple that's in your second, third, fourth year, to really just keep God first and have those conversations. I think that's one of the things that we've just learned, trial and error, having those, if you want to call it pillow talk or check-ins, having those conversations to really check in with each other, not just professionally and all of those things, but really tuning in and having a check-in time with each other, because things change all the time and we're different from year to year, day to day. And so, what was popping year one is not the same in year three. Your goals and things change. So that's what I would definitely say for young couples.
And that's just amazing. So that kind of leads me to my next question. I know you guys just got my brain going all over, and I hope I'm not overdoing it. But so with all that being said, how could you maybe try to sum up the impact of marriage as far as when we're going through these ups and downs of life? As we know, we mentioned that God is at the center, and I just want to add, from another message we heard over the weekend, as the fathers, we're fighting to hold the line. But mom is also at home base, kind of our command and checking in how we operating. So it takes a whole family, and that really just shapes the overall experience. Like you said, having, children under an early age, multiple children at that age, and kind of just seeing them now become young adults. So how would you say marriage has impacted and shifted just your life overall, whether it's your career, just even support from one another and different things like that? How did marriage really shape and impact that?
Well, I would say that, marriage is the image of God, right? And so what I've noticed, and she was talking earlier about how things look differently, but in a positive way for us when we are focused in on what we're supposed to be doing. Mm-hmm. When we focus in on our marriage and we're really into each other in all ways, I noticed that like blessings flow, things just work better in our household, in our finances when we're in tuned. And so that's one of the ways the enemy really works hard to try to keep us separate. We be close, but still keep us separate. So I noticed that when we're happy and into each other, it resonates with our children, with our family around us. And people tell us all the time, and we're not even thinking about it and not realizing how many people have positive responses from how we are with each other. We have former students, former clients we may have on social media, and they see us and we don't even know. And like, I'm so inspired by you guys. I'm like, really? We living our life trying to, do what we do, putting on a brave face, even if, we mad at each other, whatever. But when we're really tuned in, I think that's where the blessings flow, is when I'm tuned in to her and she's tuned in to me. And that's just what I see. What do you think?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you there. And I think, again, looking back, I think it's important for us to have times where we reflect about where you started and where you are. Children definitely changes a lot of things. It teaches you definitely how to sacrifice, right? And how to really during those times where like you're not really sure about your skills, you're not really sure about if you're guiding or telling them the right things or whatever, you're just trying to use what you've been taught in your own experiences. I definitely think once children are in the mix, it moves you away from being solely just focused on yourself and what I want and what I need. You're putting their needs and things first. And so I think that there's a big balance that comes with that as well, because when of course when your kids are younger, that they're your whole world, you're sewing into them, they look to you for everything. When they start getting a little bit older, into their teens, and they're a little bit more independent, and now adults, things start to shift a little bit differently. And so when you talk about the impact that we had when they were younger to right now, some of the things that we were harping on, you know, when they were younger. And now it's like we've seen them as adults, and it's like, okay, well, that stuck. Thank God. That stuck when we, you know, all those seeds that we were sowing into them. So again, like what you said, I think you never really know how those seeds are going to come up, or the impact that you have. You know, you just do the best that you can and focus on those things. And I think us being planted, you know, in church, doing what we've always known to do, what we were taught to do, and what we model for our children. If you stick to that core, even though there's challenges that happen, you're still unshakable. It doesn't mean that the branch won't be shaken, but it does definitely mean that you'll still be standing strong. And I think that's why we're where we are.
That's so good. And I will never forget someone saying something that I don't agree with, but I would love y'all's take on this. They said, when you have small children, it's almost like you're not supposed to do anything at that time in your life. And it was, to me, such a negative statement, especially at the time. Like, as a parent, it's like, sometimes you got to go with the flow. You know, you invite your baby on to the podcast interview.
Right.
But what are your thoughts, either how things have changed now that your children are older, or how were you able to still walk in your God-given purpose? Both of you have ministered, you've been professional, you've gained so many accolades, even while parenting. So how are you able to find that dynamic and that balance?
Yeah, I would say I definitely don't agree with that statement, because before children, you know, God put both of you together. And so if you don't have that time that you're spending together, then to me, that sort of dissolves things. You have to have that time, that intimate time. And I'm not just talking about physical intimacy, but you have to have that time where you can connect with each other, you know, and that is really, I think, us like experimenting, like, okay, well, we're going to go and put them down for, 30 minutes. Okay, so how was your day? If that's making meals together, if that's, while you're in the bathroom, whatever that is, you still need that intimate time to be able to connect with one another, so that he knows that I have his back, vice versa. And then you're better when you're dealing with your children. But just solely focusing on kids and not yourself, then you sort of lose yourself in that parenting. And so I would definitely say, and seeing as they become more independent, because you've taken the time to sow the seed and train them. Like you said, you have to be creative. If it is bringing them along, if it's teaching them certain parts of your business, like they're not too young to learn, and they pick up on, oh, well, mom's too busy or dad's too busy, to incorporate that. And I think that that's something that's very unique, that gives them, opens them up and exposes them to different things at a young age as well.
Yeah, I agree. And the part you brought up about, sometimes mom's too busy or dad's too busy, is also helping to teach them about boundaries.
Yeah.
But when they were small, you had to get it in where you could fit it in.
Yeah.
And sometimes it wasn't a lot of time. And then also, as a man, knowing that my wife is in recovery, so you have to be patient with that and be supportive of her. But as the kids get older and they're able to make their own breakfast and stuff, and you get to a point where you can start locking the door.
Yeah.
Without them bothering you.
Yeah. That's right.
Oh, they're knocking at the door and you like, just come back. Is the house burning? No? Okay, you're all right. Put Barney back on.
Yes. So I know I'm like, the time has gone so quickly, but I have, we just have a couple more questions. Yeah. One that I'm so proud, like I trained myself for this competition and I didn't. Paulishia did. You recently competed in a figure competition. One of my best friends, she is a fitness coach and she teaches people, she trains people for that. So I know firsthand the level of discipline, there's so much that goes into that. So I'm like, hats off to you, Paulishia. I'm so proud. Yes. And then John, what I love is like with every moment, he is right there with you. So yes. How was that accomplishment for you, Paulishia? And John, how was that for you? How did it grow y'all's relationship, being in such a supportive role and just being there for one another for that.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons or one of the things that I said is when I made my 50th birthday, I wanted really quality of life. You start thinking like that as you start climbing. And so I wanted to be, I'm always talking about transformation and, not one to just shoot from the hip, but I'm telling you things that I've experienced. And so, knowing some of the medical things that go on within my family line, high blood pressure, diabetes, those things, I am very, very serious and dedicated to not continuing my next 50 years dealing with those type of ailments. And I know, especially if it's something that I can do to help prevent that. So that was one of my first things, because I think, we've always worked out and done the thing, for a little while, but really just locked in, going towards my 50th birthday. And then after then I said, you know what? I want to keep this going. I want to, and how am I going to do that if I don't, first of all, have his support, because we're, always doing things together. So I think it made it that much more easier for me, because as you said, when you're preparing for competition with the diet and everything, you do learn a lot about yourself. And when you talked about that unlearning earlier, you do unlearn a lot of those habits and what they're tied to, and why am I eating this way? Because I'm stressed, and so a lot goes into that, but I would not change anything for the world.
Yeah, it was fun, and of course she had those goals, and she's the one who found the trainer that we had, and like I said, it was a lot of fun. And then I wasn't just sitting there just watching it. I was working out too, and was also able to lose weight, and you start doing the muscles, and she's still trying to get me into the competition. I'm still like, we'll see, maybe I haven't completely ruled it out. But it was a lot of fun, and I feel really good about myself, and how I'm looking. Of course, I'm enjoying how she looks as well, and so we just looking good together. So that makes it fun too.
Yeah.
Yes, you are. I'm like, both of y'all sitting there looking competition ready.
Yes.
And so I love that. I love, like I said, when I saw you competing, and it's like John show up, y'all both, ripped and ready to really take on the world. And I think the thing that's so amazing is how you said y'all are like breaking those generational curses, those things that where people feel, well, it runs in my family and I have to accept this. I just love how you both have partnered to not just change the narrative for yourselves, your own family, but how y'all have reached out to other people like Christian and I, and y'all have now changed, and made a legacy and a breakthrough in our family line. And for that, I'm just very grateful for you both. And not to get too greedy, but even how Christian said, I do want to acknowledge one thing that really stuck out to me is how when we first came together, he was like, yeah, I talked to John and this and that. And I'm like, wow. So he was able, to reach out to John and get advice, like man to man, pouring into him. And it's like, and y'all barely even had connected with us, but you just had such a heart, for other people. So for that, I'm very thankful for you both.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been nothing but great, honestly. I guess I was thinking about too, we are definitely inspired, getting better with our health and different things, and being that you all did it at your stage in your marriage too, just let us know, hey, we can definitely get a head start too, like this. That I still got some of this baby weight we carrying on from. Hey, we getting there. We getting there.
One day at a time.
One day at a time, and the one right choice at a time, and together, we definitely thinking. So I admire what you all doing and seeing the results. Like you said, I mean, it's amazing, and like you said, we're definitely going to be on our next episode. We're going to see a little bit more progress as well, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure, yeah. Just keep on pushing. When I started, matter of fact, we started this time last year.
Yeah.
And I was at 260 pounds.
Yeah.
Wow.
And my body fat percentage was in the 30s, so it was not good. I was not healthy. I was pre-diabetic, and today I'm 225. Yeah. My percent is down to 17%. So just excited about it, eating right.
For the Lakers or something.
Right.
Man.
I said they both. We have two professional athletes. We didn't mention that in the introduction. But yes, our professional athletes.
Killing it in the gyms, man.
Yes.
Yes,
That's
yes,
so awesome.
yes.
That is amazing. So I know we have our final question. It's hard to ask you all the final question because I don't want the episode to end, but we have to be respectful, of your time. But what would you say? What's that legacy that you both hope to leave, whether people with your children, with people that are watching right now? What's that legacy that you hope that they carry on from your message?
I think the biggest thing for me is what comes to mind for me is just like honor, respect. Respect for yourself and the things that you set forth for yourself. I think we're our own biggest critic. And so a lot of the things that we are tasked to do or that we want to do, we definitely can do those things. With God, all things are possible. And so I'm always in amazement at just things that I might talk to John about or just put out there. And then I look up, months down the line, maybe a year down the line, I'm actually walking in what it is that I've actually said, and not to be boastful or anything, but that is what I want my children. That's the legacy that I want them to see in terms of just being proud of us to say like, hey, this looked like it was challenging over here, but we saw what mom did here. We saw what dad did here. And so we're going to keep walking forward regardless of what the circumstance looks like. So that's what I would like to say in terms of legacy is just the honor and the respect of, whatever it is that you put your mind to, what you purpose in your heart, so shall it be. And it's the same in God's words. He knows our desires. And so all of those great things that we might think is like intangible, they are very tangible. And so it might not happen. I didn't think that I was going to be in a competition last year or writing a book however many years ago, or us really collaborating and working in our business together. Didn't think it was going to do that, but look, here's where we are, and we've been able to impact a lot of different things. And so that is that's the legacy, that's the blessing.
Yeah, I love that. And speaking of loving that, for me, it's also leaving a legacy of loving God, mm-hmm. and loving yourself and loving your family. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter where you come from, even if you didn't have a foundation of that, you can create what it is that you want if you start by loving God, loving yourself, and loving your family. And that's something that we have been working hard to instill in our kids. Of course, we know the word says, train them up, and when they're old, they won't depart from it. So we believe that legacy will be established, or has been established with them.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's good. Well, we are thankful to have you guys on as our first guest.
Yes.
We want to have like a punchline phrase for you. Just finish the sentence. I guess, Paulishia, you can go first. When we say real love is, you would say what? What would that be for you?
Oh, real love is peace. Mm. Yeah, real love is peace.
I felt that all the way.
Right, I'm
peace when she said, "Now you're doing your thing."
Yeah.
We told you they were dynamic.
I felt that all the way from there. That peace all the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
And John, for you, real love is?
A song by Mary J. Blige. That's the first thing that popped in my head. So magical, musical, harmonious.
I love that. Harmonious, peace, and we might have to slide that real love from Mary J. Blige without the copyright infringement.
Right.
Outro next time.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. I want to say thank you to you both so much. We're so grateful for you all for just all that you poured into our lives, for you taking time to be out here on the show today and inspire so many people how you've inspired us.
Yes,
so we're definitely
thank
grateful
you for even considering us, because hey, as wide as your network is, you could have reached and said, hey, can y'all do this? So we really appreciate it down here in Texas, and we're looking forward to connecting with y'all again very, very soon.
And before we tell everyone again where to follow us, how can they connect with and support what you both have going on, and how can, what's the best next step they can take to support your movements?
So for me, if you're looking for any type of coaching or mental health support, you can go to www.polyclinicalservices.org. You can follow me at Instagram at the Ouch Couch, and yeah, if you Google our names in Amazon, you'll see our different book projects that we have out there. Paulishia Augillard, as well as John Augillard, has a wonderful book that he wrote. We're talking about self-esteem and confidence, even when the world says not to have it. So yeah, I don't know other connections.
My IG is Mr. Augillard. Is at Mr. Augillard, at Mr. Augillard, and you can reach out there to me. Also, I still do some life coaching as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes, awesome. Well, I think that if you have not connected with John, if you have not connected with Paulishia, you have all that you need to know. Polyclinicalservices.org. I can testify to Paulishia's, as you heard, the peace, the calmness that she brings in the face of anxiety. You've had such a impact on high achievers, and how we try to hide, or they call myself out, but how people try to hide the stress and the overwhelm and cope with it. And I love that you help people with that. And then confident when the world says you shouldn't be. Y'all can search that on Amazon. Make sure you get it. Follow John and Mr. Augillard.
Yes.
Thank you again. Thank you both for being on today.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Yes, and for those of you that are watching, make sure you connect with us across social media at Keeping Up with the Coast. Yes, our all new Real Love Estate series kicked off by the Augillards of Texas here today. We will see y'all in the next episode. Take care.